Process that, Brian. Go ahead. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. It's okay.
Oh, I just hit myself in the eye with the microphone.
Hello, my name is Adam Forney, and I'm a researcher at Microsoft Research. I'll be demoing today Verse, which is short for Voice Exploration, Retrieval, and Search.
Nobody text me on September 10th and spoil it for me.
About yourself there, Jeff. Do you use Ira to get those stylish clothes ready for yourself?
You know, Brian, this is the first major challenge to my Granimal system. And yes, 5 minutes free is awesome.
It's really cute because I have a really cute band on it.
You're not going to believe what that Fischler guy said again. If there's one thing frequent flyer travelers have said recently, it's like they'd like to spend more time possible going through TSA.
Oh my God.
I don't think we could probably use that.
We can't put that in the bloopers.
I don't know. It seems like it's not ready for prime time yet, but it seems like they're going to be charging prime time prices. I'm going to do a farewell boxing. How's that?
That would be fascinating.
The beauty of the Orca My i2 is we packed so much technology and computing power in this little device.
If they do in fact hear it, it forces there to be some clear and concise language enforced through the DOJ on does accessibility in the ADA apply to web accessibility.
You took the words right out of my mouth. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to That Blind Tech Show. Joining me today, Serina Gilbert, who I just recently found out I owe a little bit of an apology to, as I am not hip on the young definitions nowadays, and Serina recently pointed out to me that snowflake, as I thought it was complimentary, is not. So, Serina, I do apologize sincerely, but welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. All this time, I just thought you were a jerk.
Now, we've established that if I'm a jerk, it's with a lowercase j, not a capital J.
I thought it was like all capitals.
All caps, screaming at you, yelling at you, like how Mr. Jeff Thompson sends his texts with all caps. How you doing today? Jeff is here as well, people.
Well, Brian, I'm doing pretty good. So I'm Jeff, and I'm good. And that's with a big J.
Good big J. And you see, that's how the kids spell it nowadays. I don't know how to spell anything anymore. I used to be a great speller. What amazes me is that those kids still at the spelling bee get all those words that I don't know what they mean. And that's why I don't watch that spelling bee. Serena, you ever watch that spelling bee?
I do, and I don't know half the words. But I'm a little concerned because I don't think that Jeff is thinking he's spelling that a cool way because we don't spell good with a J.
Oh, so true, Serena. You are correct. You should be in that spelling bee. Because Jeff is with a big J. And yet I'm so good, I should be emphasizing the big G. So those of you keeping track, that's Big J with the big G.
Oh my goodness.
And by the way, I thought a snowflake was just being unique. I always knew you were unique, just like all the rest.
Exactly. It's not a bad thing, people.
Hey, let's ask Google.
Google, and the winning answer is...
Insert clip there.
Snowflake is a 2010s derogatory slang term for a person, implying that they have an inflated sense of uniqueness, an unwarranted sense of entitlement, or are overly emotional, easily offended, and unable to deal with opposing opinions.
End clip there.
Opposing opinions? Hey, Serena, how do you feel about TiVo? Ira.
They had a little bit of news, and the three of us, I believe, have all been Ira users for quite a while. Serena, what do you think about this first 5 minutes free anytime you call Ira?
I think it is awesome, and I have a little bit of a confession.
Ah, Serena, so you have a confession, eh? Yes, tell Pedro everything. Tell Pedro everything.
When I found that out, I did cut back on my plan because I looked through my call history and everything but maybe one call was under 5 minutes. People don't realize how much you can get done in 5 minutes or less.
Girlfriend, you're just not laying out your wardrobe correctly because Saturday night I spent 15 minutes on the phone with Ira picking out my shoes, my shirt, and my pants. How about yourself there, Jeff? Do you use Ira to get those stylish clothes ready for yourself?
You know, Brian, this is the first major challenge to my Granimal system. And yes, 5 minutes free is awesome. If you average 8 minutes a call, you're saving 5 minutes off that, so you're only using 3. So my 8 minutes in my 30-minute plan would only get me just under 4 calls. Well, now I'm only using 3 minutes, so I'm up to 10 calls. So it's more than doubled. I've gained like 150% of the minutes that I'll be using. And I hear people saying, well, it's not really free, but what really is free?
Air.
In my book, the
Air.
5 minutes, that's free. There you go.
Hey, Jeff, the first 3 letters of IRA are free. Think about that.
Air.
Think about that.
Air.
Yes, air.
7-11-22 to Kenny.
I don't get Ira in Trinidad. Why, Ira? Why?
But hey, like anything in the blindness community, not everybody was thrilled with this news. If you follow the IRA group on Facebook or email chains, or just talk to other blind people like I did here in New York, not everybody was thrilled with this. Serina, what were your thoughts about some people just having issues with IRA 5 minutes free?
Pardon me while I step on my soapbox real quick here.
It's not a huge soapbox, but she's pretty short.
So the consensus in a lot of the groups, and I'm not saying that every single person is doing this, but post after post after post is A, people saying, oh my gosh, everyone's going to take advantage of this and ruin it for everybody else. And B, it's only 5 minutes. Why is that? Like, that's not good enough for me. And it just really upsets me because IRA is a company that has always had the blindness community as their number one customer. We're the ones that they're always thinking about how they can make things better for us and make things more accessible. And for them to offer like that first 5 minutes for free, I think it's huge. It probably cost them a lot of money to be able to do that. And I frankly think that a lot of the members of the blindness community are just ungrateful and can't be happy with, hey, at least we've got something to have us some accessibility here.
Honestly, if you want to complain regularly, just get a podcast and do a segment that's what's pissing you off now, and then you could talk about things like this. But Jeff, not great news for Android users running Beta Q trying to use IRA.
It's not great for anybody to be using a beta, no matter what operating system you're using, and to complain about an app, because betas are testing programs. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Serina, we're gonna need that soapbox now. You only have it 5 minutes for free.
Yeah. Serina, you're running the beta on iOS. Have you had any issues using IRA?
I have had 0 issues using IRA on the beta, and I think I'm on iOS public beta 6 now, and it's been flawless. I haven't had any connection problems, nothing.
It's Apple. It just works.
Sometimes.
Not always. Not always. Anyhow, it could be worse. I mean, you could be one of these people out there having stress dreams about losing your AirPods. This was an interesting phenomenon. Serina, what were your thoughts about people having serious stress dreams about losing their AirPods?
I have to admit, I haven't had any like stress dreams, but I have had that slight paranoia when I'm like on the bus or something, like, oh my God, what if I drop one of my AirPods and I can't find it? Because they're so small and they're easy. I mean, I've lost them in my room before and had to look for them. So I do get it, but I'm not like losing sleep over it. So it is kind of weird.
Jeff, you're a pretty laid back guy, so I imagine you're not having stress dreams. Are you having any other kind of dreams about AirPods?
I did drop one from the hammock once.
The hammock?
What's a hammock?
The hammock. Fine.
Are you trying to be distinguished right now? Like
Snowflake. I don't know.
Wait. People in Minnesota have hammocks?
Yeah, I get that once in a while, especially when you open up your case and there's only one in it. You pause for a moment going, but yeah, those are little guys that just float around sometimes. I don't know. But you can always... What's the setting, Brian, when you find my AirPods? Yeah. We did that one time, and it actually works, and it gives you a warning. Are you sure these are not in someone's ear? But if they were, then they wouldn't be lost. Now would they?
Well, I never remember my dreams, but I must live in the Matrix, because I didn't have a stress dream about losing my AirPods. I actually lost my AirPods.
Brian, your name is Neo, and you are the one.
So it wasn't a dream.
Not all of them.
That's true. I just lost one in the case as it fell out of my pocket when I was getting out of a cab, and that was the end of that and everything. But I still have an extra right AirPod, and if I could ever remember where I put it.
I heard stories, Brian, though. I've heard stories like 6 weeks later, they'll come to the door. Oh, wait, that was dogs. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, that was wishful thinking and everything. But Jeff, we'll start with the positive. You have a new card, even though it's not in your wallet yet. It's on your phone. Why don't you tell us about your experience signing up for the all-new Apple Titanium card?
Au contraire, it's in my wallet on my phone.
Good point.
And it's the Apple card. And it took me 2 minutes. I started my Keurig machine. I went into it. I just continued, agree, confirm. And within 5 to 7 days, I will have that Titanium Apple card, Serina. Yeah.
Why are you calling me out? Like, why do you think I'm jelly or something?
Oh, you have a handbag named after you. I mean, I got a titanium card.
And Brian, do you know what jelly means?
I do not. I am learning. I am just not hip. Is that like cool? Jealous? Jealous, I'm assuming?
It's short for jealous.
But there's no Y in jealous. There's no Y. I can't get with you kids today.
Do you know what sunnies are?
Sunnies? Does it have something to do with eggs, I'm thinking? Eggs.
No, sir.
No. Well, unlike Jeff, I don't take 2 minutes to do things.
Hold on. Let's go back to sunnies.
What are sunnies?
You can just ask Google. It's short for sunglasses.
Oh my gosh.
Really? Does everything need to be shortened?
Do you know what stoop is?
Yes, Jeff Thompson.
No.
It's short for snowflake.
I'm getting a little off topic here.
You think?
I try not to.
No, the titanium's coming. I'm excited. And I thought, gosh, I should have done a little demo on this. And I said, it's so easy. Anybody can do this. And then Twitter lit up. Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
I can never do anything the easy way. I always have to do it the hard way. And so I went in and I was able to apply for the card. When I got to step 3, I noticed my address was incorrect. Well, that had nothing to do with it because after I got through the 2-minute process that Jeff went through, I was then prompted to take a photo of my driver's license or state ID. Obviously, they don't let me drive anymore. So I whipped out my state ID, and there's really not great voiceover instructions because I'm holding the camera and I'm flicking all around looking for the take photo button. It ends up it's an automatic scan. Well, thanks to the good folks at I called Ira on my iPad, had it over my iPhone. They were looking at my ID through there, and we got everything lined up. And you have to take a photo of the front and then the back of your ID. Well, we did it 5 times in different lighting conditions on different tables, and it still didn't work. Well, I then called Apple, and I got in touch with the Apple card. It ends up this is not just a problem that voiceover users are having. Certain people are being requested that they must take a photo of their ID. It has nothing to do with your financial background. This is something that Goldman Sachs has put into play, and Apple is being flooded with phone calls because a lot of people are having issues. So it's not an accessibility issue. It is an issue where your ID is just not being recognized. And I'll tell you what, Serina, Apple said this will be the quickest credit card you ever apply for. It hasn't taken me this long to apply for a credit card since the old days when you have to fill it out in paper and mail it back in snail mail.
So one might say that you are unique.
Or pissed off.
Now that's unique to this show.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Jeff. I missed it.
Process that,
missed
Brian.
it.
Go ahead.
I missed it.
It's not that funny. It's not that funny. It's okay.
I just won't be buying any Apple products anytime soon, which means Apple's stock is going to take a big hit. Up until their event, September 10th, Serina, I know you're so excited. You'll probably take off work. Are you looking forward to, do you care about any of the new iPhones that will be announced on September 10th?
So you will be shocked to hear that I will not be able to live stream it because I will be at a mandatory professional development conference that day.
They're finally going to give you some training so you know what you're doing.
Apparently. So I will have to find out probably not till I get home that day because, as you know, when you're at conferences, you really don't get a lot of time to yourself to just kind of space out on, Apple News or whatever to read about it. So nobody text me on September 10th and spoil it for me because I do really like hearing what they will improve. I'm told that the form factor is not going to change much, but we'll see.
Jeff, how about yourself? What iPhones are you guys running, Serina?
I have an iPhone 10.
And Jeff?
10s Max. Max.
Look at me. I just bought a brand new iPhone because I heard about the new specs, could care less. I've said it for a long time. You can have my home button when you pry it from my cold, dead hand. I just bought another 8 Plus because of the volume damage on my previous 8 Plus, and I'll be sticking with the 8 Plus. But I'm not excited by these new phones. I don't need a better camera, although I guess, Jeff, if I had a better camera, I'd probably have an Apple Card because it'd be able to recognize my ID. So, Jeff, is there anything about the new phones that you've heard so far that excites you?
No, I'm on the first year of my 10s Max, so I'm not really looking for. I'm more interested in what's coming out. iOS 13, and we'll probably get to that. I do agree. The 8 Plus is probably the best alternative phone out there right now.
Yeah, I love that home button. It's just so great to boop, press it, and have my apps close. Or 3-finger real quick. I guess you can still do the 3-finger on the power button to turn voiceover on or off. Jeff, what about...
Wait. 3-finger on the power button?
Yeah.
Do you mean the triple tap?
I can't use that phrase because another podcast in the blind tech community use that, and we get sued every time we say triple click on this show.
Oh, well, they'll have to get over it. It's a common... Did they trademark it? Nope.
We just got sued twice.
They've only been gone for 4 years.
Has it been 4 years?
They obviously didn't get much from us.
No. But Jeff, you're rocking one of those old Apple Watches. I did hear that there may be a Apple Watch 5 coming out. So any interest in that?
Not really. I think... it was kind of an experiment for me to see how I would use it because I didn't know how I would use it. And I do like it for that instantaneous message or that alert or the sound when you're busy doing something else. It's like, oh, you're keeping in tune with what's on your phone, but your phone's in your pocket. So I like it for that, but I don't know if it's worth $450 to upgrade, although I could probably cash it in for, $100 maybe. I don't know. I got the 2, technically the 3, but they call it the 2.
And I think we mentioned it on Prime Day. I got one of those 4-in-1 docks for the bedside, which has its own watch charger. Ever since I started using it, I actually remember to wear my watch every day because my phone's sitting right there, my watch is sitting right there, and my AirPods, and it's great. So I'll try and find the name of that product so Jeff can put it in the show notes.
And this is an editor's interruption. Brian just broke the golden rule. Don't ever mention a product without being able to name the product. Bad Brian. And yes, Brian, that's all caps. Big B, big B. Bad Brian. The name of the product is Mangotech. That's Mangotech. 4-in-1 Apple Watch and phone charging system.
So, Serina, no phone. You don't really use the iPad. You use the Apple Watch? I can't recall.
I do have an Apple Watch, and it's whatever the same one that Jeff has. It's the same series. I lost track of. I think it's the 2 or 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I have the 2.
It's too confusing. I think I have the 2 as well.
And I have a Series 1. Just saying.
But I have not worn it in at least 2 months because the software on it has gotten so slow that when I do want to look at something on it quickly, it's torture. It's really cute because I have a really cute band on it, but it doesn't function as an actual watch right now.
That explains why I got a text from you today that was asking if I was going to be watching the live Apple event back in May. You must have texted from the watch.
It just arrived.
Yeah, so it just arrived.
And people, that was actually funnier than you may think. He is a comedian.
Hey, I had trouble getting the words out, Jeff.
Did you really get a text from me? Because if you did, see.
Yes, I did. I was wondering why it was so delayed.
But I didn't text you.
You did 2 months ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yes.
And this is a message to the listeners. What's wrong with me that I choose to work with these two? Huh.
By the way, I just learned penguins are gay. I had no clue, but interesting fact. So not that it matters, but...
what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I just found it fascinating. I just was reading about the gay penguins before the show.
They're offended that you had to call them that.
I know. It's like, wow.
I had no idea. I think, hey, whatever animals want to do is fine by me. I don't judge. I don't watch. I'm blind. Jeff, Apple TV Plus, you may watch. Rumor has it it's going to be $9.99 a month. I think that's $1 or $2 more than Netflix, and they're going to have a whole whopping 5 titles at first. What are your thoughts about this?
I don't know. It seems premature. They're slowly getting these shows together, I don't know. It seems like it's not ready for prime time yet, but it seems like they're going to be charging prime time prices.
That's very well put. Now, if I could still see, paying $9.99 a month to see Jennifer Aniston might be worth it, but How about yourself there, Serena? I think you've got Disney Plus, don't you? You've got a bunch of streaming services over there.
Well, Disney Plus will come out in November, so we don't have that yet. But I have like Hulu, Netflix.
$6.99.
I thought you knew people.
I wish. I'm actually really excited about Disney Plus, but I'm concerned because the Disney apps right now aren't the most awesome accessibility-wise on the Apple TV 4th generation. So we'll have to see how they do that. But as far as the Apple TV Plus service, I was excited about it when they announced it last year, but it was only for that one show. I think it was called C, but that doesn't look like it's in the initial list of the 5 that shows that they have.
No. I was looking for that.
And it seems really steep. I mean, I'm sure they'll have other content. Maybe they'll surprise us and you can have access to like a lot of the iTunes movie library or something like that. But I'm not paying $10 for 5 shows, and none of them actually seem very interesting to me, honestly.
Prediction, will their shows have described video from day one, Serena?
I think they will.
Jeff?
Apple's really good about that.
Jeffrey?
I think that's why C's not in the first lineup, because they're still working on the auto description, the last thing they had to do.
You're welcome, people. We're delaying that show for you.
And I haven't heard from Roy Samuelson for a couple weeks, so hey, maybe he's busy.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I just started on Amazon watching The Boys last night because I've been superheroed out, but I had 3 people tell me this one's worth watching. I watched the first episode. I did like it. It's a different take and everything. So it's got the great described video, and if you're looking for something a little different, check out The Boys. It's a different kind of superhero.
And that's the BOYS, right? Boys?
BOYS on Amazon Prime and everything. The first episode was really good. So it caught me by surprise. It's pretty funny, too.
I do have one thing related to that. Did you see, because we mentioned Disney Plus briefly. Mm-hmm. So Disney and Amazon must be fighting again because Disney Plus will not be available on Amazon devices.
Okay. Well, did you want to say that, or I guess you just did?
I just did.
She just did.
I was only partially listening. I was reading my next line.
Welcome back, Brian. That Blind Tech Show. Hey, stick around. There's something about last time you came in, you fell over your microphone, almost ate it.
Ooh. I assume you guys heard that. That was a microphone to the face, people, as I've got a new system I'm using here.
Now you come in and you say, hey, did you want to say that? No, I just did.
What's amazing is I fell over the microphone. It's on the desk. The dog is right half under the desk, and Haley was fine, So you got to watch out for those things high up in the air. But this is the Jeff-centric portion of the show. We'll get to the Brian and Serena-centric sections later. But Jeff, to fly or not to fly with your MacBook Pro, you had a mid-2015 MacBook Pro, and aren't you shocked I remembered to put mid in there? Tell the listeners what's been going on with that.
And the other criteria is Retina display.
Oh, you didn't think I'd get it all right.
Well, and the serial numbers must match. And I knew mine was mid, 2015, and I got a notice, kind of one of those notices that don't go public. Just a notice that, hey, this is really focused at you. It doesn't say to residents or something like that. And I was curious, so I went onto my computer and I got the serial number. And then I went over to my Mac, punched in my serial number. Once I got to the site they brought me to, and sure enough, it qualified. So then I called up the Apple store and I talked to a guy. Oh, actually, I talked to
a guy.
I called up Apple support. They then asked for my serial number and they went through all the stuff and yep. And so they sent me a box to put it into, and I'm supposed to just ship it off.
Can we do an unboxing of you getting that box and then air it for the listeners?
I'm going to do a farewell boxing. How's that?
That would be fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I think I'll start with, oh, man, I wish I would have got when the box arrived, the empty box. Oh. I'm sorry, guys.
You don't have a time machine, do you? We could go back. I mean, that would have been must-listen to podcasting at its finest.
Oh, yeah. And then we could have like 48 hours while the box sits there waiting. But anyways, I got to put it in there. So that prompted another question. So I called up Apple support again. I said, how do you prepare this to send back in? Well, they want me to have, like when you go to log in, you just have your login. But then there's guest. You can option that. So if you go into your settings, you can have guest as an option. And they said, make sure that's on the screen. And I'm thinking to myself, what else? Like, do I want to get rid of my Apple ID on it? Basically, I feel like I want to strip this thing down naked, just send it in blank.
I agree. I agree. Anytime anytime you're going to be sending your computer in for any kind of servicing, whether it's to the mothership Apple or a third-party retailer, you're going to want to sign out of iCloud, I think, and deauthorize iTunes. I don't know. I looked today. They still have those authorizations, so I always deauthorize iTunes.
Mm-hmm. Here's the catch. You can't bring it to an Apple store and have them do it there because they'll just stick it in a box and ship it to the mothership of Apple, because it's all going back to some Apple factory where they're going to do this work on the battery. And that's the trouble. The batteries overheat, blow up, whatever they're going to do. What's that? The Samsung 8? Something like that happens. And so all the airlines just put out a notice that I cannot fly with my MacBook Pro.
Yeah, that's crazy. Serina, and my question to you, because you've obviously traveled with the guide dog, if TSA can't figure out what to do, because obviously we're always the first person that's ever gone through there with a guide dog, how are they going to figure out which MacBook Pro models are good to fly with and which MacBook Pro models are not good to fly with?
I don't know how they'll know, because they all look the same, let's be honest. Like, what, do they have a list of, do they have a database?
You're not talking about the TSA employees, because that would be not very good to say.
Well, they all look the same to me.
They all look the same to me because I can't see them. So.
That's true. That's true. Okay, very well put.
But I don't know, unless every Mac that comes through there, they're going to pull up a database and type in a serial number, which that would be impossible. I mean, I'm sure there's thousands of Macs that come through just in one gate every single day. So I don't know how they're going to figure that out.
If there's one thing frequent flyer travelers have said recently, it's like they'd like to spend more time possible going through TSA. So who the heck knows? But Jeff, you haven't had the fun of flying with a guide dog, and I just did it to Florida recently. Who knew that I was the first person in the history of LaGuardia Airport to go through there with a guide dog? Yet I've flown through there 20, 30 times with a guide dog, and every time it's like TSA's never had a guide dog come through there before.
Oh, Lori has Logan, a guide dog, so I'm usually there when they want to do extra little tests.
Serina, they always wet nap my hands.
Well, I get that, and if you guys scroll back through my Facebook forever ago, I always get a complimentary groping every single time from the TSA.
Oh,
that's part of the benefit of being a woman.
I hate it. It's so embarrassing. They always do it it's always a female agent that does it, but it's just, you're already stressed because traveling with a guide dog, like, you always in the back of your mind are like, don't you piss in this airport, But it's
some of the good airports actually have doggy relief areas.
But my dog won't use it.
Diva.
Because DIA has a dog relief area and he won't use it. He just is like, this is inside. He just won't.
Well, it's funny. On a related note, I won't use public restrooms in airports either. So I'm kind of like your dog.
I guess you guys are just both spoiled.
They're both divas.
I have a major phobia of public restrooms.
I feel like there's a story there.
Okay.
Do you know in San Francisco, they have little puppy prints on the sidewalk that lead you all the way to the doggy relief area? I mean, how is that supposed to help blind people?
Okay. I was reading because I thought we were done, but 3, 2, 1. So there's been a lot in the news lately.
Oh, wait a second.
Okay.
You're just going to let that die?
I was reading. I missed what you said.
He didn't even hear it, so he didn't even care to ask you what you said.
Oh my God, this is getting worse.
Jeff, repeat what you said. Sorry. I thought we were done and I was supposed to read. Jeff, from now on, you tell me when I should read the next thing, okay? So I don't neglect
Serina,
anybody.
Your new song. 2 blind men and a microphone.
I don't know that song.
I'm not in your age range.
You don't know
Jeff.
the 2 turntables and a microphone song?
No.
Maybe.
Don't you guys remember? I don't listen to music.
Says the person who's always quoting a lyric from a song on it.
No, I'm quoting a line from a movie. Do you not know me, Serina?
Well, last episode, there was definitely a song quote.
Bon Jovi doesn't count. Jeff, I'm now trying to read because I forgot what we were talking. Okay.
Oh, you're talking about dog relief or
no, that we're done. We're moving on.
He was talking about paw prints.
Do you know in San Francisco, they have little puppy prints on the sidewalk that lead you all the way to the doggy relief area? I mean, how is that supposed to help blind people?
It should beep like those lights, which I could never understand which street it's telling me to cross.
I think it should be dog biscuits all the way there, and the dog could just take little nibbles all the way there.
Labs don't take little nibbles, right, Serina?
No, a lab would eat itself to death if you let it.
Okay, enough on the dog food there.
Yeah, go back and read. How are you doing, Serina?
Yeah, I have it already. I have it. So, anyway, I read a lot. That stuff fascinates me. And there's been a lot in the news about the A-lady listening to everything that we do. Siri, Google, and the latest one, Facebook. Actually, I guess in Facebook Messenger, you could send audio messages, and Facebook's been paying people to transcribe all that information. I don't know why, but it did get me thinking. Serina, what about dictation? Because we obviously all use dictation a lot. Do you think anybody's listening to what we dictate? And if they are, I am totally screwed.
They probably are. It wouldn't surprise me. It's probably buried in the terms and conditions that we agree to and never read because it's 42 pages long. But if they are, then it's not improving anything. So I don't know what the purpose is.
They said third party, but they never said that humans would be doing it. And it's not just Facebook, it's Google and Microsoft as well, and Apple. All of them have had some form of human interaction with dictations.
And Amazon, don't forget that too.
Now, is it dictation, Jeff, or is it just Siri? Because those are two different things. I think dictation is just done all on your device, or is it sent to somebody's cloud somewhere? And you're not going to believe what that Fischler guy said again.
Once again, he is a comedian. And if you want to know more about Brian's comedian roles, just email us in at That Blind Tech Show. I'm just kidding, Brian.
I thought it was funny. That's all. I'm just here to amuse myself. Mr. Negative.
So are you trying out new material this week?
Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow.
Oh, I thought you were trying it tonight.
No.
Are you going to try out the new piece of information that you just learned tonight? Is that going to go on tomorrow?
If it's ready. Jeff, am I allowed to read? Because I assume we're moving on. Hey, this part has nothing to do with me. 3, 2, 1. Now we're moving to the Serina-centric focus of the show. Back to school, because when they mentioned back to school to me, I was thinking of the Rodney Dangerfield movie, of course. But Serina, this probably means something completely different to you. What are you doing to prepare your child for back to school?
Well, not everyone lives on the East Coast, Brian. My kid started school 2 weeks ago.
Well, if we would have recorded this 2 weeks ago, so you could now talk about what you did to prepare your kids to go back to school.
I'm just being a jerk. It's fine.
With a capital J or a small j?
Just the small one.
I just want to know this for the show notes.
I just realized this topic wasn't about your kid going back to school.
No,
this is for
that's why
listeners.
I was like, what is going on here?
So 3, 2, 1. Let me start that all over.
How about you scroll one line past? And then
I know. I mucked that all up. 3, 2, 1. This is still the Serina-centric portion of the show because I believe you deal with college kids. And I thought this meant back to school that we were going to talk about the Rodney Dangerfield movie, so I got excited. But people in the blindness community, both you and Jeff had some pretty good advice that you wanted to get out there about people that are either heading off to college the first time and what they should be doing to prep themselves before heading off to school.
I'm sorry, Brian. I am so confused because I didn't give you that topic. So I'm like, what are you talking about?
Jeff, didn't you give me that topic from her?
Slide it to me, man.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Why don't I just start it up? 3, 2. Back to school. Jeff, you had some good points you wanted to bring up about kids that may be preparing to go to college for the first time and are visually impaired. What were your thoughts that you wanted to get to them?
Actually, I thought you were talking about the Rodney Dangerfield movie.
Hey, that was I get no respect on this podcast. I get no respect at all.
He did that on purpose. That's why he's like, toss it to me, Brian.
Toss it, slide it to me. I tell you what, as school's coming up here, I think the most important thing that you got to do is know your equipment, know your accessible technology, be ready from the go. Charge them batteries. And the other thing is talk to your instructors, send them an email, get prepared, tell them who you are, what your situation is, you're visually impaired, how accommodations are. Open that door so you two can communicate before you walk in the day one. And believe me, you walk in with a guide dog or a cane, they're going to go, oh, Bobby.
What if your name's not Bobby? Will they still say Bobby?
Oh, back out and come in again. Try it again.
Okay. Until they get your name right.
Yeah.
Good advice.
I mean, you got a cane. Whack, whack. Serina.
Blind Abilities does not condone any form of violence in any way whatsoever.
Thank you. I knew she was here for a reason.
I put the number at 2.5 that Jeff likes to whack over 2.5 people on the bus with his cane in the shins.
I usually unfold it first, whack them, then fold it back up, and then move on.
Yeah, you could get a better swing at their shins if you're doing it that way, probably. I'm trying to have to remember back to the old cane days. Mm-hmm. And, that back to school info, that's also useful info for anybody out there that may be on the job prowl. Don't go in looking for a job, having to first learn the devices you're going to need. Learn the devices first. And Serina, you might be able to speak to that, because don't you do some career kind of a show out there or something?
Oh my goodness. There is a little show called Job Insight.
And that's with a big J, though.
Big J, big I. We did. I think we talked about this not that long ago when it came to reasonable accommodations. And obviously, employers are required to provide reasonable accommodations, but they are not required to train you on your reasonable accommodations. So I hope that a lot of you that are heading back to college this month or next month use the summer to brush up on those skills. Or if you're about to start a job, that you've mastered those skills that you need before you head out on interviews.
And if we were a responsible podcast, we would have gotten you this information at the beginning of the summer so you could have actually learned those devices instead of right before you went back to school.
Au contraire, Mr. Fisher. Job Insights is not only a career resource podcast, and one of the focuses is transition age students using the vocational rehab system. And as Serina just mentioned, getting to know the equipment and tools before you start your job or before you head off to school is well advised as well. And also from the summer, we talked to quite a few vendors, especially at the summer conventions, talking about back to school, getting the equipment and learning it. So we're pretty much on top of that. So go over to Blind Abilities and check out Job Insights. You can find it in the category listing, Job Insights.
Big J, big I.
And stemming from that, we also have the Facebook group called Career Resources for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And directly related to assistive technology, we do have the Assistive Technology Community for the Blind and Visually Impaired Facebook group as well. It's a great resource. A lot of people there sharing, learning, and advising.
Good advice.
Serina, your kids are already back in school.
I didn't know I had another kid.
Your kid and his peers are... Your schools have already started.
That is how rumors get started, Jeff.
Wait a second. You got kids?
Oh, my goodness. But here in Colorado, west of...
Mississippi.
The Mississippi, I guess.
You guess? I'm pretty sure it is.
Hey, it's all good. Yeah, my kid started back August 8th, but there was actually a district here that started as early as July 31st.
Wow.
So we start back real early.
And a device that I got to play around with recently that may be helpful to some people heading back to school. Orcam. Orcam's been out there for quite a while, and a lot of people would say, well, why do I need an Orcam? I've got an iPhone. And I was guilty of not being extremely organized because of the size of my old apartment, and I had about 6 years worth of paperwork all in a box. And yes, I could have used my iPhone and all the great tools on there to quickly scan through there, or maybe I could have made 6,000 4-minute and 59-second phone calls to Ira. So I could have gotten to use everything for free. But with Orcam, I got through all this paperwork extremely quickly. I blew right through it. It was fantastic. I picked up one of those Amazon basic shredders on Prime Day for $24, and it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed using Orcam, and it got me to thinking, well, who else would Orcam be useful for? There are people out there that aren't great with smartphones, and Orcam could be something for you. Or I had a client that is actually a professor here in New York, and even though BART is fantastic and Bookshare, a lot of the books she needed to use for her teachings, I think she taught like dead poets or something, I don't recall what it was, weren't available on those services. And Orcam is a phenomenal device if you deal with paperwork on a daily basis. That would be fantastic for you. I would highly recommend it. Jeff, you've had minimal experience with Orcam, but what are your thoughts?
Well, it's a unique device, and I really think, especially for someone who has lost their sight, I think it's the tool that puts them right back into the groove of like reading a magazine, reading a paper, stuff that you condition yourself over the years of doing. It's habitual, and the Orcam can just attach to your frames or clip to your frames, left or right side, and you can just do gesture or tell it to speak or to read. So it puts a person right back into the swing of things, I think, without having to learn Braille, without having to learn other skills like an iPhone. I think it's a quick learning device to keep you moving forward.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people know about OrCam is it's the device that, like Jeff said, clips on your glasses and you could point and OrCam will read what you're pointing at. Well, I found it's even faster if you just tap on the side of the OrCam and boom. It is the 2.0 model. I believe that's the model that's out now. It is lightning fast. Fortunately, somebody lent me one and I got to run it through the rigors, and we will be coming out with a demo of the OrCam device.
Yeah, my i2.0.
So My i2 is our latest generation. The beauty of the Orca My i2 is we packed so much technology and computing power in this little device. The device converts visual information to audio, and it can read printed text for you from any surface, any size of fonts. It can recognize faces, recognize products, money, color, and even give you the time. Device has Bluetooth inside it, so it connects to earbuds with Bluetooth. We have a companion app on the iPhone that can help you operate the device and set up the device.
That's really good. I like some of the gesture bases. You just pretended to look at your watch and all of a sudden it just told you the time.
The time is 9:01 a.m.
Another way to get time is by using voice commands. I would double tap on the device. Tell time.
The time is 9:01 a.m.
So just by tapping and gestures, you can get all your commands that you need.
Tapping and gestures does most of the work. We also have voice commands that help us with running the device, getting time, and controlling the device, the speed of reading, the volume, and all that.
One of the big things is the OCR, someone that just wants to snap it to their frame of their glasses. I think it's like magnetic, right?
Yes, it's magnetic, and it can go on both sides of the glasses. So it can be for right-handed people. Usually we put it on the right side, and for left-handed we put it on the left. Sometimes it's also a function of the hearing, because the device converts the visual information to audio. So if someone doesn't have good hearing on the right ear, we would recommend him to use the left side of the glasses.
It seems like one of the most easiest and intuitive ways for someone that has recently gone blind to just continue reading their newspaper, magazines, articles, because the OCR works really good on this.
Yeah, OrCam, I think the major strengths of OrCam, it's our OCR. The technology was developed in-house. Our OCR supports 16 languages, including Chinese, which by itself it's a challenging language for OCR.
Well, great. Well, Mani, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
Sure. If you're interested, go on our website, www.orcam.com. Thank you.
That's the device I've been using. Yeah, and wherever you are, there's probably an OrCam retailer in your area that'll come out and give you a demo of the device, because unfortunately, like anything in the blindness community, it's not cheap. Something that I guess is cheap is...
You guess it's cheap? I know it's cheap.
Fantasy football. And we here at Blind Abilities just had our Yahoo Fantasy Football draft that all three of us were in. So first, are you ready for some football? But Serina, what were your thoughts about the accessibility of the Yahoo Fantasy Football app?
You're going to hate my answer, Brian.
Okay.
So my husband did my draft for me.
Oh, did he close his eyes while he was doing it?
He did not. I sat and consulted, and I got to pick some player. Like, he's like, "Well, what do you want? It's yours." But he did it for me because I know nothing about football.
Okay. Well, that's okay. I thought you were going to say you hated the accessibility, which I would have found shocking, actually.
No. The app is great, though. I mean, I know last year when I was using it, I was able to do things on the app fairly easily once I figured out what the layout was.
Did I steal a lot of your players? Because I think I was drafting in front of you.
No, Jeff did again, though. He tends to do that every year. And I still think it was rigged that, the CEO of Blind Abilities and the Blind Abilities Football League is the #1 draft pick.
Actually, Jeff had the #1 pick this year. I had the #1 pick last year. And I believe Nick had the #1 pick the year before. So you'll probably get it next year. It's random.
You guys are not helping my case here, like your case. You're making it seem more rigged.
Jeff, as the guy with the first pick, what were your thoughts about drafting through Yahoo Fantasy Football?
Like every year, it gets better and better, because what I really liked is after the draft, the recap, you could go back and look at the draft. You could even see how they graded you, which, that's machine, so it's interesting. And then you could see like a couple people use the auto draft, so they weren't present. They just let the computer pick it. And some of them did pretty good. That was kind of interesting. So if you're a beginner at fantasy football, there's always that alternative, but it's accessible enough that you can get a lot of information out of that app. If you want to dive in to a player, they might have some stories on them. So you go in and you can recap and check things out on a player. I think it's really good. I love it. It's easy.
Yeah, and this will be out in time for you to still get in on our Yahoo Fantasy Football League, because I don't believe the season starts till about the 7th.
Oh, too bad, Mr. Fischler. Over to you, Serena. What is the date of the start of the 2019 NFL season?
September 5th.
September 5th. Okay, well, like I said, we know I get at least 3 things wrong. I used to say 1, but 3. So anyhow, and I actually stole something from Serina, Jeff, because I do multiple leagues, and I'm in a money league that's coming up, and I needed a team name that went with West, something that started with a W.
Did you steal my team name?
So, Serena, can you guess what my new team name league is?
Are you the Wide Retrievers?
In another league, I am the West Wide Retrievers. It
You
all fit.
thief! I'm going to trademark that.
It's a great name.
Did you pick the pink helmet like I did as well?
I'm a guy, Serena. I'm a blind guy. I never even pick my helmets. Whatever the default's on, I just leave it there.
It is awful presumptuous to think that just because you're a guy, you can't have a pink helmet.
That's true.
Sexist.
I didn't even know what snowflake meant, so what do you want from me?
Brian, I told Serena this year, I said, even if you alphabetize the entire league, she's still in last.
That's true. That's true.
Why don't you also tell him how long you held on to that to be able to use it?
From last season when it ended. It finally made the podcast.
Jeez. Evil.
And unfortunately, because people have reached out to me. It's not unfortunate that people have reached out to me. Unfortunately, ESPN, CBS, and NFL Fantasy, which used to be accessible, are now all completely inaccessible. I've tested things out. I did a mock draft on the NFL. It was a horrific experience. I don't understand why these other companies are so far behind Yahoo, but Yahoo is your go-to source if you're looking to play fantasy football. Don't even waste your time with the others.
Yeah, I got to hand it to them. They do it a really good job, because when I open it up this year, it's like last year I did a mock draft. And that's where you can go through and they'll do a mock draft and the clock starts ticking. So you get that full sensation of time's ticking, and you can go down and look, and you can even put, like, say you have a list of 5 guys that you really want, you can put them in the queue. So if you do screw up, the auto will pick from your queue. So, if you're running out of time and nervous and all that, it happens. Yeah. So you can try a mock draft. This time I didn't, because as I just went into it, it was like, oh, here we are. All right, fantasy football in the app from Yahoo. My team name is Rivals, and I play in the Blind Abilities Football League.
Rivals, Blind Abilities Football.
And you can choose whether you want to see your roster, which I am on right now.
Rivals, Jeff, team settings, selected, roster, button.
And this allows you to see who's on your team by position, in order from quarterback to wide receiver to running backs, and further on down the line.
QB slot, Cam Newton, QB, Carolina Panthers.
Player updates is an alert system where you will get updates if someone gets injured or someone quits football, such as Andrew Luck did from Indianapolis.
Player updates, badged, button.
You get a notification. That's what the badge means there. And as I go through my offensive players, it tells me my players' name, the team, and the upcoming schedule. It'll even go into further details of projected points and so forth.
Game scheduled for Sunday 12 p.m. versus Los Angeles Rams. Has recent player notes. Video available. Points. 20.49 projected points.
I can also go into the league and check out any other team, the records within the league, and from there I can also go into any other team and check out their roster.
Players. Tab. League. Tab. Matchup.
Another nice thing is I can see the matchups, and then I can compare my team against their team. You don't have to go down one list and then down another list. It goes right across. My quarterback versus their quarterback. It gives you a comparative of the players and their projected points.
You will be playing Green Thunder. Your record is 0 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties. Green Thunder's record is 0 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties. Confidence meter. You have a 55% chance of winning. Green Thunder has a 45% chance of winning.
And as the game goes on, it'll tell how many points they've been scoring. So it's a neat way to keep up to date. Who's doing what, what's going on, what quarter they're in. You can just do anything from this app. It's an awesome app. You can check out the league, check out the standings, check out other teams. You can do almost anything that you desire on here. You can even go in and see some special notes that have been written about a player that is coming off an injury or going into an injury. I can't say more about the fantasy football app. It got me back into football because I quit. Many years ago, we used to do it with pencil and paper, blah, blah, blah. And this, with the accessibility, it's the reason why I'm playing. And it's the reason why I got the best team this year, too.
Yahoo, I believe in the default leagues, because you could join a public league with a bunch of random strangers. I believe the draft time between picks is only 45 seconds. But Yahoo, for people with disabilities, made it so you could adjust the clock. We had 2 minutes between picks, so everybody had plenty of time to make their picks. Some people had to take 2 minutes every time, and the reason to do a mock draft, especially if you're a first timer signing up for Yahoo, isn't to see who you end up taking. Get yourself familiar with the accessibility layout and every tab, and just really doing it so that way when your live draft does occur, you know what you're doing and everything.
When your live draft does occur.
A cure.
Does a cure.
Yeah.
It's a medical term.
I didn't know that was possible.
It's a scientific fact, Serina. You want to be able to take the right people when the time does a cure.
Random strangers, not just strangers, random strangers. Like you would know the difference.
Isn't that an oxymoron?
I know. It's
Brian, do you know what oxymoron
is?
It's
an ox. It's stupid.
I always thought that an oxymoron was Spanish for ox and moron.
There's another thing to add to your list to ask Google when we're done recording today.
I know what an oxymoron is.
I don't think you do.
It's me saying you're really smart.
No, still wrong.
I just hit the microphone again. I forgot it again. No, that was my elbow, though.
Luckily, I'm on the Google 5 minutes free plan.
Oh, stop it. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. I've always kind of wondered why they call New York the Big Apple. It should really be called the Pizza State, because honestly, we got the best pizza in the world. And one thing you'll never catch me eating, just because it sucks, is Domino's Pizza. But now there's 2 reasons I'll never eat Domino's Pizza. First, it's because it really sucks. It's like eating cardboard. But second, as a lot of you probably are well aware, Domino's was sued because their website and mobile applications are not accessible. And they lost the case, I believe, in the appeals court. And instead of doing the right thing and the shorter thing and fixing their website so people with disabilities, not just blindness, could use their website, Domino's has now petitioned the Supreme Court to hear their case, and we'll get a ruling by the Supreme Court in the fall whether or not they will agree to hear this case. Jeff, you and I have discussed this in lengthy details. What are your thoughts about the Supreme Court potentially hearing a case about web accessibility?
First of all, Brian, I want to tell you, when you're eating a Domino's pizza, take it out of the cardboard first and then eat it.
I have, and it still tastes like crap.
Same thing? Okay.
It's New York. You're not going to eat Domino's in New York.
Well, this is a big case, and I don't know, and it can go either way with how people feel about this. Is it Domino's going all alone, one in on this to prove a point, or is the Chamber of Commerce of lots of different associations kind of looking over their shoulder and wanting to know what's going to happen here, but don't want to open their mouth because, it's not a good thing to say, hey, we don't want to make our site accessible. No one wants to say that, but Domino's is saying that. So I think this is really a case that a lot of people have their eyes on, or ears on, because it could have some big ramifications if it goes one way or the other.
Serina, there was a great headline that we can't use that a pretty big tech blog had, and you could Google it. It was Domino's wants to F up the internet for people with disabilities. What were your thoughts about that?
So you guys might be surprised. I have a slightly different perspective on things. What? When I first came across this article, I was like, well, who cares? I don't order from Domino's a whole lot anyways. But I did post it out on social media and kind of just to get some opinions out there, cited, not cited, whatever, just to get that variety. And I at first was like, this is ridiculous. Why don't they just fix their site? What's the big deal? But one of the perspectives on it is that by having the Supreme Court hear it, if they do, this is a big if they do in fact hear it, it forces there to be some clear and concise language enforced through the DOJ on does accessibility in the ADA apply to web accessibility to clarify their rules. Because it is admittedly a little bit like it's gone both ways on all, and that's why it's being appealed so many different times. So if they do decide to hear this could actually be a big win for accessibility because it could clarify things. If it gets lost, then it's still not a loss because Domino's still has to fix their website. So it seems like a jerk move, and I'm sure it is on the like in Domino's.
It's Domino's. They just suck.
Yeah. But it could be a win for the disability community.
We shall see. Differing opinions, but that's why you listen to the show. We don't agree on everything, and only time will tell. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of this. We'll be following it. I'm sure most people out there listening will as well.
Do you think the justices will have pizza during their break?
Not Domino's. Definitely not Domino's.
I think they'll provide it for free, though.
Here, we'll now re-slice for Domino's. Recess for 10 minutes.
Brian?
So
you're reading. Go ahead. Go read.
I was. I thought we were. I don't know when I'm supposed to. I waited, and then I started reading to get the next title.
How's it going, Serina?
I'm back. 3, 2,
knock, knock.
1.
Who's there?
Brian.
Brian who? So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this next topic, I'm interested to get your guys' opinions because honestly, there's no probably right or wrong. It's just what your opinion is. Some websites out there that have been sued or have decided to make some changes are using plugins instead of fixing the full accessibility of their site. Companies like Audio Eyes and Audio Ally. Personally, not a big fan of either, but I'm going to let you guys talk first. Serina, have you ever been to one of these websites that has one of these accessibility plugins? And if so, what's your experience been with them?
I've never, if I have been to one, then I haven't noticed.
Oh, you would notice.
I've definitely heard of it, and if I recall, I feel like you said like one of the federal websites that you visited had done this.
Yes, I last week tried to file a complaint with the FCC against TiVo for breaking their screen reader. We knew TiVo would come up eventually. Anyhow,
let it die.
If you break my screen reader, I will not let that die. And
your TiVo probably looks like Frankenstein right now. We can bring it back.
I have to unplug it every day and plug it back in to get the screen reader to work for at least an hour.
Let it die.
But anyhow, they were using Audio Ally, and how odd I couldn't finish filing the complaint because I think the major issue, I have a lot of issues with these plugins. One, they're not fixing their websites. They're basically putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Two, what they're doing is they're dumbing down the internet for people that actually know how to use screen readers. And three, I find that these plugins are very browser specific, where it might work on Internet Explorer if anybody uses that anymore. But when you're using Safari on a Mac, a lot of the commands don't work. Jeff, how about yourself? I know you've had at least a little experience with some of these accessibility plugins.
Oh, it's so prehistoric. I mean, you yourself, both of you, as you use a screen reader, how long does it take you to be familiarized with a screen reader of sorts? And then all of a sudden you come to a website and use this. It's like, okay, we tell students, be prepared for school, get your technology. Now you're on the website and it's like, you got to learn this thing. And believe me, they're so rudimental, so basic. There's no tricks. There's no nothing. You can only do what it does and you're not going to learn the whole thing. I think it's a joke.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. And these are companies, from what I understand, somebody I know knew somebody at Audio Eyes and tells me there's no blind people working at the company. So they're just out there to make money and not really fix these websites. Unlike something positive, people that are looking to make a positive impact. Jeff, why don't I let you introduce what some students, I believe it was, or master's degree students are working on to potentially make doing searches easier by voice and smart speakers.
Yeah, this is really interesting because Alexander Batayurna from the University of Waterloo Department of Mathematics is teaming up with Microsoft and a professor out of Washington to develop VERSE, which stands for Voice Exploration, Retrieval, and Search. And they're finding a way to merge the best elements of voice assistance with screen readers to create a tool, VERSE, that makes free-form web searches easier. And just like Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, no, we're not sponsored by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. Now we're going to have voice assistants in your screen reader in your voice assistants. Kind of interesting to think that you can have just as much depth of a screen reader in your voice assistant. For example, we've all looked something up on our smart device and it'll give you some result that might be, on the surface, the first sentence or two from a larger article, and that's about it. But with Verse, they want you to be able to say, tell me more, or go to the next heading, or go to the next criteria that you're looking for, and it'll just keep on going deeper and deeper.
My name is Adam Forney, and I'm a researcher at Microsoft Research. I'll be demoing today Verse, which is short for Voice Exploration, Retrieval, and Search. The idea of this demo is really, really simple. It's that we want to take a virtual assistant like Cortana or Alexa and add to it some capabilities that are typically available in screen readers, which are accessibility tools that blind individuals use to access online content. All right, so I'll give you a brief demo of our system, Verse. I'm going to use the microphone on this headset in order to provide input, but you can imagine that this experience would work on a smart speaker as well. To begin the interaction, I will just speak a query similar to what I might ask Alexa or Cortana. So I might say, what is Microsoft Research?
Microsoft Research is the research subsidiary of Microsoft. It was formed in 1991.
Now, it's a fairly low rate of speech, but the answer is comparable to what you would get from a smart speaker. I'd like the agent to speak a little faster, so I can say, speak faster.
Okay, I increased my speech rate. My speech rate now is 1.5.
All right, so now I can ask that question again. I could say, what is Microsoft Research?
Microsoft Research is the research subsidiary of Microsoft. I also found one entity, 10 web pages, 8 related search queries, 10 videos, 10 Wikipedia articles.
All right, so at this point, we've got our fairly straightforward answer, but we also have clues to what other content is out there online. So in this case, I can see that there are at least 8 related searches or 10 web pages, so I could say, go to web results.
I found 10 web pages. The first one is Microsoft Research, Emerging Technology, Computer, and Explore Research at Microsoft, a site featuring the impact of research along with publications, products, downloads, and research careers, from www.microsoft.com.
All right, so that's the first search result. I can go to the next one. I can say, next.
Page 2. Microsoft Research, Wikipedia.
Now, doing this all through voice is possible, but it can be fairly tedious. So we've added additional accelerators. So for example, I can use my smartwatch or my smartphone in order to provide a shortcut. So in this case, just scrolling the wheel on my watch, I should be able to
Page 3.
Scroll through the results.
Page 4. Page 5. Page 4.
And I can
Page
do the
3.
same thing on my phone.
Page 2.
And I can
Microsoft
engage into
Research,
that
Wikipedia.
article with more
Microsoft Research
more
is the
details.
research subsidiary of Microsoft.
So I can say, open that article, read section headings.
Introduction. Section 1. Key people. Section 2. Research areas. Section 3.
And I can go to a particular section, go to research areas.
Okay, here's the section number 2, titled Research Areas. Microsoft Research is categorized into the following broad areas. Algorithm.
So just to summarize, we're able to engage with different search verticals. We can engage with content, and we can navigate using some of the same techniques you would use to navigate if you're using a screen reader. So you can navigate by section or by headings in this case, but also by paragraphs or by sentences or words. And I can issue voice commands, or I can issue gestures on my phone or on my watch that are identical to those that an individual using a screen reader would use on their phone.
It just sounds like this is really good stuff, that people are looking into a way of making web search more available to us, more deeper, more richer. Yeah, more richer. Kind of like that chocolate I mentioned earlier. Rich in data and as satisfying as chocolate.
Oh my goodness. It kind of sounds like Dragon, except for with blind and visually impaired in mind. Because obviously using Dragon when you're visually impaired is, I don't know, it's pretty complicated.
I thought Dragon was a dictation software.
It's a dictation software, but you can also control your whole computer with voice commands with Dragon.
You see, you'd learn something new on this show, even if you're on it.
When we're talking about voice commands, there's voice control on the beta right now for 13 and in the Mac. And I was talking to a student that's headed to the University of Minnesota, and he has committed to only use voice control. So he really dove in deep, and he's loving it now that he got past the learning curve of it.
Why did he try to use voice control only? Was there a reason, or is he not like flicking?
He actually volunteers for Apple, Google, and Microsoft for their beta testing and stuff. He's headed into programming and stuff like that. It's interesting to see that he has committed himself to do that, and that he gives feedback to him too. So Apple will be improving upon it, upon his, and I'm sure a team of people that are out there using it. And he's one of the persons that is using voice control extensively.
And in 6 months, we'll have an update where we read his report card and how he's doing with that. Yeah, I thought this was fascinating. You know, the more that we can do with voice, like I said, every year there's more and more we can control with our voice. It's great when you see college programs and the initiative and the time and the money that's being put into anything to improve the lives of people with disabilities.
Well, I think you're making a great point there because we always talk about like, oh, the kids nowadays have it so much better. And like the generation above us say we have it so much better. But it's really neat to see the youth of today having it so much better through our perspective. But they are right out of the gate working with the companies to improve it more. I think it's really cool.
Yes, Serina. Here's people using vocabulary in a good way. Not the bad way that you showed us earlier, making words shorter that people over 40 don't know what the heck anybody's talking about anymore.
That's the point, though. We don't want you to know what we're talking about.
Then how are we supposed to communicate?
Brian, do you know what it means?
Yeah.
He's just, first of all, Jeff is making it up. And second of all, Brian is acting as though he knows what Jeff made up.
No.
Oh, okay. Wait a second. Let's back up here. Now, someone made it up somewhere.
And his name is Jeff Thompson.
And then someone adopts it and it catches on and it's a trend. And, yep.
Jeff, I had an cab driver earlier today.
See, it's catching. Look at this trend.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll catch on out west.
And Brian will forget the new word in 2 hours.
Oh, no. I seen his friends.
Serina, I don't wipe my mind until the end of the evening, so I've got at least 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Sorry. I underestimated that for you.
This was a really fascinating article that I found late today, and I hope you got to see it, Serina. So I'll start with Jeff. This was a great article, and we'll put it in the show notes. And they interviewed a lot of sociologists, and I think psychologists, and all those people that are much smarter than me about what would happen if the internet just completely shut down globally. But what I thought would be more interesting, Jeff, what would happen to blind services that we use on a daily basis if the internet just completely stopped?
Well, it could happen if Domino's wins this lawsuit. I mean, they just might throw us back to the Stone Age and just put us back in blind asylums. And, there they could serve us pizza and we wouldn't have to order it.
Seriously, though, what do you think this would mean for... It would be complete panic, obviously, out there in the world. But I can't think of any devices that would work. Those canes and guide dogs would come in pretty handy, but that's about it.
I mean, this isn't just the blind itself. And to isolate it down like that would be impossible because we are dependent upon society, just like anybody else is. The grid, the internet, everything that we use today has been adapted to do that, so it'd be a big change. I mean, the only ones not affected would be the Amish. So hopefully you got a slate and stylus, an abacus, and probably an Android because, they're just as functional with or without the internet. Oh, wait, Brian, you still use an Android?
Thankfully, no. Serina, what do you think this would mean for people that are blind or anybody with disabilities if the internet just stopped one day?
I think this sounds super dramatic, but it would be devastating, honestly. I mean, think about even just the social aspects that you can get with the internet when you're, restricted to being in your home for maybe days on end, or even looking up a phone number.
You'd have to talk to your family.
Well, there's some individuals that live alone, though. I mean, that would just be so isolating. And you would barely even be able to make phone calls anymore because who has a landline anymore other than Jeff,
I have but mine's a VoIP line, so yeah, that wouldn't work. I was thinking about that.
That's not a landline, yeah.
Exactly. And I live alone, and I am fine with that, Serina. You said that as if it was a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it can be very isolating for those that live alone but are not as social as you are.
That's true.
What would happen after 9 months of this? You'd want to go to one of the conventions so you could all convene and raise your canes, unite.
How would you get to the convention? Because planes wouldn't work, Jeff.
How would you buy your plane ticket?
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't be able to do anything. I would be fine because I've got 6 bars in a 2-block radius, and I'm pretty sure they're taps and everything. Well, they'd be fine for the first 24 hours. I guess after that, they wouldn't be able to get any other.
Well, if you could clean barns or bale hay or something, you could hitch a ride with the Amish.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, this is a fascinating read, and we'll go ahead and put it in the show notes.
Probably get some Amish hate mail now.
Jeff, how are the Amish listening to their iPhones? Do Amish use Androids?
Well, of course they use Android. Look at their progress over the last 400 years.
So that Blind Tech Show, we've been getting some great email, Jeff, and I believe you have a little message that you want to send out there.
Yeah. Got word I got a listener, kind of a groupie. Yeah. So, Chanel, Ramdas, this goes out to you. All the way across the nation, across the Caribbean, and all the way to your ears. Hi.
Okay.
Am I the only one that feels like we just witnessed a super awkward moment right there?
I am really creeped
I'm
out.
super uncomfortable right now.
I am very. My guide dog just came running in, and he's creeped out too. So he even heard that.
Jeez.
Way to creep out the listeners.
So, Janelle, I'm sorry you got to put up with these other two, but hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to That Blind Tech Show.
And because we know I don't pay attention to anything that doesn't have to do with me, and this did have to do with me, so I guess I just don't pay attention to anything. Serena, I was working with a client the other day, and she's 87, and I give her credit, for learning new things, and she says to me, "What's this podcast that you're on?" I said, "Oh, how do you know about that?" And she was at a place called the 92nd Street Y here in New York, and her 70-plus-year-old friend, my name came up somehow. I don't know why my name travels in the older circles, but it does. Says, "Oh, I know him. He's from That Blind Tech Show. You should listen to that." So a shout out to all the people that are older out there and listen to our show, and hopefully you're learning some things, and hopefully we're making you laugh. So how cool was that, Serena?
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, we hit the younger ones on the last show with the intros we did, and now we're hitting the older crowds because we care about everybody here at That Blind Tech Show.
He was giving you a shout out. I didn't think they could hear you.
Oh, that's so wrong.
Oh my goodness. Now you've just offended them all.
And there go our older than 70 listeners. I think by the end of the year, we could probably alienate every listening group to this show. And if you were offended by Jeff's last comment, write us in at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com or tweet us in @blindtechshow. And don't be so snippy on the Twitter and everything. People have been very snippy on the Twitter lately, Serena.
What?
Wow.
Not talking
Brian,
about you.
I can't believe a blind guy can see in a mirror.
Brian, gosh, I mean, are you pot, meat, kettle? What?
Yeah, black.
Hey,
What?
Jeff, Poe Meat Ket.
Yep.
What? Don't get it. Mm-mm.
Calling the kettle black.
Yeah, yep. That's what the kids are saying.
You guys are being ridiculous.
Aren't you up on this, Serena?
Mm-mm.
How high in the mountains are you out there in Colorado?
You guys are ridiculous. Making up shortened words doesn't make you cool.
Hey.
Ooh. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
I'm cool.
No, you're cool.
Oh, I just hit myself in the eye with the microphone.
See?
I'm trying to...
See? Brian just completely ruined all of your moment there.
Headbutting went out in the 90s, Brian.
You guys can't act like you're cool and then hit yourself in the head with a microphone for the third time in the show.
Excuse me. Why do you group me with him and generalize that?
You grouped yourself with him.
I said I was cool. He bangs his head.
It was my eye. I'm trying to get my guide dog back underneath the desk, and I'm trying to get him to sit down. And Wild Child West, when I leaned over and hit myself in the eye with the microphone. This microphone's going to be the death of me. Jeff, is that why you told me to get this microphone, so it would kill me? And you'd have somebody else to do that Blind Tech show with?
Give him a brain injury.
Okay.
I would like to just note that is the third time in an hour and a half that Brian has hit himself with it.
Brian, quick, tie your shoe.
I don't have shoes on.
Fix your sock.
3, 2, 1. Recently, I discovered that Apple is coming out with a lot of older film titles with described video. I thought this was really cool because I can't stand any of the movies, well, maybe one a year that's been made in the last 10 years. And I decided, I've already ripped a lot of my movies that I have on DVD because I'm getting ready to throw away all my DVDs since they're taking up 1/3 of my entryway closet. And I've got everything backed up to a couple hard drives, and you can access them on the Apple TV when you're living in the Mac environment. But something that I've been doing lately is building a described video movie library, the legal way, actually, where Apple's been having a lot of sales lately for either $4.99 and $7.99. And a couple of the great titles I picked up that, we talked about it, I guess on the last show, I got Forrest Gump, but a lot of movies from the 90s I'm starting to see come out with described video. The Game with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn. Grosse Point Blank was another one I got. Argo, a more recent title that was real good. Jeff, have you been noticing that some of these older titles, and anybody know how Apple decides or who decides the studios which older titles to give a described video track to?
Tim Cook.
Ah.
Yep.
Tim, can we get a described video track for Fight Club, The Godfather, Goodfellas? Yeah, this is pretty cool. Serena, have you purchased any movies that aren't Disney through the iTunes library that have described video?
Hardy har har. But it's funny.
Well, I haven't seen that one.
No, hee hee. It's funny that you kind of give all that credit to Tim Cook because you guys just love Apple so much, but so do I. But it's okay.
I didn't give credit to Tim Cook. You're putting words in my mouth.
Wait. Let's back up. Har. Is that short for Hardy?
Hardy har har.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thanks.
But it's interesting that you mentioned that because I read an article that the Audio Description Project shared that Paramount is making a concerted effort to describe older movies. There's 100 new movies that they've described that are from, when you were, only 50, Brian. No, I'm just kidding.
Yesteryear.
I'm just kidding.
40.
He's so offended.
I'm 40.
It's so funny.
Plus a few years.
No, but that they're making a concerted effort to go back and describe those. And they're specifically describing them to be able to be released on streaming services. So it might seem as though Apple's like making this concerted effort, but it's really that they're just making an effort to pull those tracks from the studios that are doing them themselves. Or they're finding the old ones, the old tracks that they had and making them available.
What I can't understand is why Apple has the movies with the described video track, and yet Amazon doesn't. And a lot of those titles could be Paramount titles. So you should get me that article because I would like to read it. Sharing works both ways, Serena, both ways.
Well, half the time when I text you, I get crickets. So I don't know. I will seriously, I'll go on and tag you in it.
Serena, you texted me before 9 a.m. my time, which had to be, 7 a.m. your time?
Some of us work. I leave my house at 7 a.m.
I don't get up till 10:30.
Can I explain to you guys? I was having an intelligent conversation. Yeah, on my part too. And you guys started having this text little fest going on. My phone's sitting 10 feet away from me going ding, ding, bing, ding, ding, bing, ding, ding. And I'm acting like, oh, that's not my phone. Yeah, you guys were going at it.
So it sounds like somebody was being irresponsible and didn't put their phone on silent.
Yeah. So Paramount, that's fast. Getting back to the described video. Now we just need to get all the other studios on board with Paramount because look, right now they're making more money. I've bought a few of these titles. I've been promoting it and everything. So other Moody? What the? I don't know what that was. Other movie studios.
Hey, Google, what is Mudios?
What is Mudios?
Son of Muño. Okay,
we're just going to move on to what's pissing off Brian.
That's not what we were already doing?
No, that was this whole show. 3, 2.
I can't believe the size of your bladder sometimes.
I've had a lot of Diet Dr. Pepper today, Forrest Gump style, as I told Serena. 3, 2, 1. So if you're still listening, because we're running a little long on this one, we didn't think there was a lot of news, but there was a lot to discuss, which hopefully you're still listening to. And if you made it this long, you're probably waiting for, drum roll please, what's pissing off Brian now. And amazingly, I've been buying these movies, and one of the things I've done is I bought Seinfeld. I got Seinfeld, the complete collection, entire collection. Serena, that means all episodes for $70. But on the iPad, in the TV app, it is almost unusable because you have to left and right flick from one episode. The 3-finger flick up, I did test this on the iPhone. It works there, but the reason I have an iPad is for the better speakers, and I did test this on the iPad mini and the iPad Pro, and the navigation of the TV app under library is just horrific with voiceover. Serena, have you played around with the TV app? And this is before iOS 13, so I'm hoping there might be an update. Have you played around with the TV app at all in iOS 13?
Not in iOS 13. It's been a couple years since I've played with the TV app on an iPad. The last time was, probably 2 or 3 years ago when we bought a bunch of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episodes for my kiddo when we were on a plane trip. And I do know at least back then, it worked well on the iPad. The episodes were just kind of listed individually. You clicked which one you wanted to listen to and it played it. I think that was even prior to it being a TV app. That might have been when it was still the video app. So...
Okay, well, shockingly, in the TV app on the iPad, this is one thing I forgot to check on the iPhone. They don't have a Netflix when you're watching a season, and it makes sense. You can easily jump from season 1 to 2. So in other words, if I want to watch episode 90, which is probably around season 8, I will have to flick right 180 times because you have a download button too. It's baffling that their own app could have this poor accessibility. I don't understand why the 3-finger flick won't quickly work to jump, scroll up and everything. But Apple should take a page out of Netflix to maybe redesign the TV app, Jeff.
So, Brian.
Yes.
You are not master of your domain?
I am not master of my domain. But amazingly, I saw my favorite episode because the great thing about getting it in Apple is it has a description. I don't need the description. I've seen Seinfeld so many times, but it has the release date and, when it came out, because I never remembered when episodes came out. My favorite episode was the two-parter, The Boyfriend with Keith Hernandez, which was kind of the spoof of the movie JFK, which I thought was brilliant. Jeff, how about yourself? Do you play around with the TV app? You're not a big TV watcher.
I was in the pool.
Classic George.
I was in the pool.
Shrinkage. That the episode title was Shrinkage.
But seriously, Brian, that 3-finger flicking up and down, yeah, you got to have that to scroll. And so I'm kind of looking forward to Apple's response.
So, Serina, kids back in school, football starting up. What do you got coming up?
I'm so boring. I have a conference coming up that's, for our state, in a couple weeks. But other than that, same
routine.
I can't say that. Same routine.
Oh.
That's not what I was going to say, but my mom listens to this sometimes.
So you can't say you're getting buck wild crazy?
Same stuff, different day. How about that?
Oh, okay. Jeff, you're a man of few words. What do you got coming up?
We got the State Fair coming to Minnesota, and it's one of the largest in the nation, really.
They still have those?
Oh, yeah. Every year we have it here, and it starts on Thursday. And my sister is one of those people that go every year. Her and her daughter take off work, and boom, they're there. She probably goes 3 or 4 times, but I'll be down there. I like doing it. So that's coming up, and that goes up until Labor Day. And it seems like everything else starts to go into flow here because kids go to school, buses start going, and yeah. It's a neat time of year. Autumn and football season, all that stuff coming up. So it's the start of it right now.
Yeah, well, in Minnesota, you got like 1 month before you can't go outside for like 6 months, right?
Well, after the polar bear migration, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, well, I've got preparing for Laugh for Sight, which is coming up on October 28th. We're starting to fill out the lineup. We've already got Mark Norman on board, Rich Voss, Bonnie McFarlane, legendary comic Robert Klein. Brian McCarthy will be hosting again this year. Of course, I will be there. This will be Wes's first Laugh for Sight, so should be interesting. So I'll be testing out new material, not that you'll hear on this show, but at the clubs around here, doing a show tomorrow night. I know Serina would love to be a fly on the wall there.
You always remember your first Laugh for Sight.
That's true. That's what they say. Anyway, I had to be talked into doing it. This is our 14th one, and we've been doing it for 15 years now, which is 1/3 of my life, Serina. So if you do the math, you might figure out how old I am.
I'm super confused by your math right now. You said it's our 14th one, but we've been doing it for 15 years.
Meaning there was 1 year we didn't do it because the economy was in the toilet.
Gotcha. I just asked the questions that the listeners are thinking.
Hey.
He's
Jeff, how old are you, Jeff?
Wait, I was going to wait for Brian to stop counting his fingers.
Jeff, I'm afraid to move.
To move?
Because you're going to attack yourself with the mic again?
Is that right?
What's the over-under, Serina, on how long until I break this flimsy tripod that this thing sits on?
I give it about 3 episodes.
Not even.
3 days. I'll forget that I left it here. And it'll be...
Knock the whole thing over.
So, Brian, you are using a new microphone, and that is the Samsung QU2?
It is. And when you get hit in the face with it, it's not as bad as you think it is. Let's see. Punched me in the chin and the eyeball on this episode. So,
and your elbow.
Yes, elbow.
And to think you could have been a contender.
I could have been somebody. But I'm not, Johnny. I'm a bum. And for now, we are out.
There you go.
And then cue our funky music, right?
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations
and the
reality
of
blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.